At long last, we've reached this point. The point where the devil cries for the 5th time. Seriously, how come this devil cries a lot? Like, is somebody bullying them? Somebody steal their lunch money and use it to buy McDonald's? If they bought McDonald's, then that would have been a lot of money because the cheap fast food place ain't so cheap anymore. Where am I going with this? I don't know. I can't really think of an intro for this video. This video is about Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5 time, baby! I have finally played every Devil May Cry game in the series. All of them. Yeah, I mean all of them. There are only 5 games that I have played, and there are only 5 games in this series. Nothing more, nothing less. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I made a video on Devil May Cry 1 through 4. If you haven't seen them yet, please go check them out. It has been quite a bit since I've started playing these games. I started DMC1 around mid-April, and as I'm writing this script, it's a late April, so it took me a year to finish 5 games. 5 games that you can beat in less than 3 days. To be fair, I did really beat all of them quickly. I just got lazy and did not play the next game until a couple of months after. But I am done. And that's the important part. Now that we got that out of the way, time to stall even more by talking about spoilers. Despite Devil May Cry 5 being a game that came out in 2019, about 7 years ago, there is still probably someone out there who hasn't played any of these games yet. If you are that person and care about spoilers, I'm going to be honest. Why are you here? If you don't care about spoilers at all, then welcome, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on your bell notifications so you know whenever I upload. Okay, now that everything is out of the way, let's get to the reason why people even clicked on this video in the first place. Devil May Cry 5 is pretty rad. I'm not gonna lie. I was already expecting the game to be good, but I had some high hopes for the game, and a bunch of them were fulfilled. So I'd say that DMC5 was a pretty big success. Pretty big as in 10 million plus copies sold. That's pretty good. I have several games that I wish even got a fraction of copies sold. The Trails series has sold 9 million copies collectively. Trails has 14 games, and they have been making these lines of games since 2004. A single game beat out an entire sub-series. This segment also doubles as a PSA to play the Trails games. Back on topic, Devil May Cry 5 is a huge enhancement and overhaul of the entire series. I thought that DMC4 was a huge overhaul from 3, but then the jump from DMC4 to DMC5 is like 10 times better. Pretty much everything is a complete overhaul. The graphics, the music, the gameplay, the voice acting, and a lot more. Let's start with probably the most obvious change, the graphics. Hot damn, this looks nice! As DMC5 was made for the consoles that has the ability to output higher power capabilities, the PS4 and the Xbox One and PC, they took full advantage of the hardware and made the game as beautiful as they could, and they definitely succeeded. DMC5 looks gorgeous in every aspect. The art style they went for was a bit more of a realistic art style, fits more in line with the modern era of games, where pretty much every developer tries to make video games look as realistic as possible. To be honest, they're still kind of doing it nowadays, and in my opinion, it's super exhausting, and It's not an art style that I really like seeing nowadays, and honestly, I'm just really tired of it. Of course, despite saying all of that, I don't hate this type of art style, and I think it works pretty well for DMC. I've seen some people say that they don't enjoy the realistic art style being used for the DMC games. I can see why, because it's a very different art style change from the previous 4 games, but I do think that it works pretty decently well for the series. The major thing that they did was use a completely different engine from previous games. DMC5 uses the RE engine, which is like Resident Evil. The RE engine has problems. It's not perfect, but it does help DMC as a series to go even higher by a lot. I still believe that the game looks beautiful. I really enjoy the skyboxes and the different environments that you traverse throughout the game, and I am an absolute sucker for destroyed cities. So the first half of the game was honestly pretty fun to look at. The second half of the game was the giant Clyphoth, and that's pretty much the demon stuff, so it's pretty red in there. The cutscenes are very well animated and polished, and they are pretty lifelike. You know, for a game about half devil, half humans fighting Hellspawn itself, some scenes are just so good that it just looks like they ripped it straight from real life. I do like when the media does that. It really shows the blood, sweat, and tears that go into making the imagery like that. Just like how I put my blood, sweat, and tears into picking the right music for my 5-minute drive. Nope. Huh? Nah. Nope. Nada. Nah. Nah. Yeah, okay. Of course, just because everything looks more realistic now, doesn't stop the game from being its same goofy self.
All I'm saying is, tough guy, it's okay to cry if you want.
I'm not crying.
Devils cry.
I'm not gonna cry. Will you shut up? Will you stop it? Look at you. You're nobody's
cry on my
crying,
shoulder?
right? Stop saying cry.
On my shoulder. I know you wanna.
You say cry again. Devil may cry. Fuck.
The developers managed to combine the more unrealistic features from previous games and the realistic nature of DMC5, and I think they do a pretty perfect job. The graphics aren't the only things enhanced. The gameplay is on a whole nother level. In my opinion, I think the gameplay for DMC5 is by far the best in the series, and it's not even close. Like previous games, they managed to make each playable character unique and not just have the same moveset over almost every character. Fire Emblem Warriors. There are 4 playable characters, and they all play completely different from each other. The combo system has improved a lot too. Everything that the characters do are like 100% more flashy than they ever were before. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if every character started shooting off lens flares like a J.J. Abrams Star Trek film. All but one playable character are characters from previous games. Nero, returning from 4, Dante, the Devil May Cry guy, and Virgil, the aura farming merchant. V is the new playable character introduced in 5, and he's interesting, to say the least. Dante and Virgil pretty much play the exact same as before. Dante keeps the same improvements that he got in 4, with the styles being set to the D-pad, instead of having to go to a statue to change them. And Dante did get some new and old weapons. Like at one point he was using the Sword of Sparta because Rebellion broke. He got the nunchucks from Cerberus again, but they work a little bit differently. And probably the coolest weapon he's ever gotten was a demon bike that can turn into dual chainsaw axe thingies. How I imagine them is that Dante is just wielding 2 dual switch axes from Monster Hunter, which is honestly makes the weapons 10 times cooler. Virgil, on the other hand, is still pretty much the same. What he lacks in customization, he makes up for doing a bajillion damage. Nero is quite the special case. His gameplay at its core is still the same, but he probably got the most significant change. Due to some story things happening, Nero ends up losing his badass demon-looking arm, but he replaces it with a mechanical arm. honestly pretty badass. A lot of my favorite characters from different media have robotic arms, so I'm already a tiny bit biased. The Devil Breakers is what they're called, serve as a replacement and give so much layers of customization. There is about a dozen different types of Devil Breakers that you can use and that you can unlock as you go through the story, and honestly, some of them are pretty unfair and broken to use. It's honestly an insanely cool way of diversifying the gameplay, and I would love it if other games just shamelessly copy and rip off this idea and just use it. Nero still has the rev mechanic for Red Queen, his sword, and his grapple by using the arm, but they somehow feel better in this game than they did in the previous game. Now, let's get to the final playable character, V. I am not going to sugarcoat it. V is unfun and boring. He's not absolutely terrible, but I just do not like his playstyle whatsoever. He's a summoner type character, so he summons devils to fight for him, while he kind of just stands there trying to avoid hits. He's got 3 types of summons: a bird that just will not shut up, a dog, and then when V uses his devil trigger, he summons a giant golem that's actually probably the only cool summon in my opinion. They all give his playstyle different options. The dog is more of a close range fighter, while the bird is more of a long range option and also doubles as V's version of everyone else's guns. The golem is only summoned when V enters devil trigger state, so that one kinda just does everything. When I was playing through V's missions, I honestly got pretty bored and I just wanted it to be over. I think I started playing games on my phone while I was doing V's missions because not only is V's gameplay very boring, but it was also pretty brain dead. I think the whole point of his gameplay is to micromanage your combos and your cooldowns, but you can honestly just spam the X and Y buttons, which is what I did and got double S rank combos like they were nothing. Despite V being pretty boring gameplay wise, V character wise is a lot more interesting. Now, seems like the time to delve into the story portion of the video. DMC5's story is pretty much like the rest of the series. It's a fun story to go through, but it's nothing that's like groundbreakingly amazing. It's good, I'm not saying it's bad. It's actually pretty in line with the other games, except for 2. However, in this one, the game did start a little differently from the other games. The game actually starts around the halfway point of the game to set up the stakes and, you know, the typical shock factor and all of that. Dante is dead? You go through the mission, relearning your controls and combos, and then you fight the big bad of the game, Urizen. You, as Nero, get your ass kicked, and then the game then shifts to a little bit beforehand. The goal of each protagonist is a little bit different, but they all eventually lead to the same thing. Nero's goal is pretty much just defeating all the demons running around, and that's pretty much it until the endgame plot twist. Surprise, there's a plot twist later. V's and Dante's goal are pretty similar. Dante is not only still on a job for defeating the demons before they overrun the human world, but he's also looking for his missing brother Virgil as well. V's main goal is a pretty big thing, and one of the main driving forces for why all this stuff is even happening in the first place. Alright, let's start with some backstory. In DMC3, Dante and Virgil fought, and Dante won. Virgil got banished to the demon realm, and then got possessed by Mundus, and then in DMC1, Dante fought him as Nello Angelo and won again, and then when Dante killed Mundus, Virgil was free of Mundus' control, but was very weakened because of it. So he had to go get the Yamato, his sword, but back in DMC4, Nero got it and has been using it. So Virgil goes to see him, and instead of asking nicely, with a pretty please with a cherry on top, he straight up yoinks it and Nero's arm with it. So that's why Nero's arm is gone, and why he's using a robotic arm. Don't worry, I know it's a lot of random stuff, I'm getting to it, trust me. Virgil then goes to his childhood home, where everything began, then stabs himself with the Yamato, and separates his human side from his demon side, creating 2 different entities, V from his human side, and Urizen from his demon side. So pretty much everything that happens in this game boils down to Virgil. Urizen's goal is basically to destroy the human realm and let demons take over, and typical demon stuff, nothing new or revolutionary. V's goal is to get Nero and Dante to help him fuse back into Urizen, breeding Virgil again, because if he doesn't, V will dust away Infinity War style. Pretty much 100% of the story is just trying to stop Urizen and everything that's going on. Like I said, the story is nothing groundbreaking, but I do admit, out of all the Devil May Cry games, I do think that the story for 5 is the best one. It looks the best, it's got the most fun in it, it feels more like a story with a lot more cutscenes to show off the developers wanted to tell with the story, and the characters, I feel like I can care more about the character than ever before. But of course, we can't have a Devil May Cry game without the memes. This game probably generated the absolute most memes that the fandom uses. I could have played DMC5 on any platform, PS5 or Xbox, but I chose to play it on PC for one reason and one reason alone. I probably explained it in the video, but I'm playing on PC, and the only reason why I wanted to play this game on PC was because of one thing. It's the only reason why.
Virgil, portal opening days are over.
Let's go!
If you want it, then you'll have to take it.
Oh, it stays!
But you already knew that.
In terms of memes, DMC5 is a 10 out of 10. But, this game has some problems. However, the problems are honestly very little, to the point where this section of the video will probably be really short. DMC5's problems boil down to the game is just incredibly, super duper dumbly easy. I'm not saying that I'm good at video games. I play a pretty decent amount of games on easy because I just want to chill and play a game, but I played on normal, in which I expected at least a little bit of resistance. But oh boy, this game was a cakewalk. It took me at least 3 weeks to beat DMC 1 and 3, about a week to beat 4, 2 was a single session, that abomination doesn't count, and it took me about 2 days in order to beat 5. My Steam says that I beat the game in like 10 hours. I played missions 1 through 8 on day 1, and I just stopped playing because I started really late in the day, but on day 2, I didn't have work that day. So, I finished missions 8 through 20. I honestly didn't know what I was doing. Like, maybe I was getting the upgrades too fast? Maybe normal mode was actually easy mode? I had fun with the game, of course, but it was way too much of a cakewalk. The only fight that actually gave me trouble was the final boss fight. Another problem that I personally had doesn't really have to do with the game. I had several problems even playing the game sometimes, because with the pros of the RE engine must also come the cons. The RE engine is known for just breaking every once in a while. I'm playing Resident Evil 2 Remake right now for the very first time, and I've crashed about 8 different times now. With DMC5, I crashed a pretty decent amount as well. I had to replay a mission like 4 different times because the game kept crashing on that mission. It was super annoying, but like honestly, what could I do? Like I said before, I played this on PC. The device I was also using to record this stuff in the first place. So that definitely wasn't helping my case. Of course, I had some outside trouble as well. The great demonic beast showed up into my room and interrupted me. See what I gotta deal with? Look at this. I'm trying to play and just came out of nowhere. Oh crap, is that an enemy? Oh crap, wait. Oh my god, it is! Wait. Aside from those very dumb problems, the game was overall very good. Devil May Cry 5 was probably the best experience of the series that I've had. I liked 3 and 4 a lot, but honestly, I think DMC 5 is probably my new favorite DMC game. I loved pretty much everything about this game. The art style was great, the combat flowed pretty well together. Honestly, the most fun combat in the series in my opinion. The music is pretty top tier, the memes are super dumb and I love it. The story is pretty enjoyable, and I liked going through it. The game was pretty short, but every single DMC game is short if you look at it. The game is very extremely easy, and you can just breeze through the whole game with your eyes closed, to be honest. But that doesn't really diminish the enjoyment of the game for me. Devil May Cry 5 was an experience worth trying out. I would highly recommend getting this game and playing it if you want to try it out. DMC 5 and every single DMC game goes on sale like every other second. And they're super cheap too, so I highly recommend it. I give Devil May Cry 5 a 9 out of 10. Alright, so I have finally played pretty much every single Devil May Cry game. No, not you. I should really play that one actually. Now that I've got a good grasp on the series, why so many people love these games, the ups, the downs, and all of the memes surrounding the series, honestly, I enjoyed the DMC series a pretty decent amount. I'm not like super autism over it like I am with other series, but I did like what I played, for the most part. DMC 1 and 2 had some problems, but then good things about it. But I didn't think they were so abysmally bad that they should be scorched from the earth and never to be seen ever again. DMC 3 was a pretty good game. It had several improvements over 1 and 2, and is widely considered to be the best game in the entire series. And I do agree that it's pretty high up there. It still, however, had some problems, but they were so small that it didn't really diminish the quality of the game whatsoever. DMC 4 was also pretty good in my opinion. I liked the story and the gameplay proved a significant amount. I honestly really enjoyed the game. The game was apparently rushed, and you can definitely tell, but I think that the product that came out was still a good game, but a lot could have been changed and improved. And finally, DMC 5. Did you skip the whole video just to get to this section? How did you even know this section was here? You just listened to me yap about this game for like however many minutes? I even gave it a score a little bit ago. Anywho, that pretty much covers everything. I have said everything that I wanted to say about the game, and all of the games actually. I hope that you all enjoyed the video, and make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe so that you never miss an upload. Now that I am done with the Devil May Cry series, I think it's time to tackle some more games. I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh man, this is awesome. Oh, that's hilarious. When did that camera get there?